Welcome to TaNaCh Talk. I'm your host, William Hall, broadcasting live out of Kingsland, Texas, USA, with another episode of TNT, the Twisted New Testament, with Rabbi Stuart the Man Federow, basically steering around his book, Judaism and Christianity, A Contrast. You'll need to get a copy of that before you go tonight. If you don't already, if you do already, buy another one and give it to your friends and family. Rabbi, welcome back. It's a pleasure to see you here as usual.
It's always good to be back.
Looking forward to tonight's show, and also looking forward to the topic for tonight. And I will just preface the reason for the topic for the viewers tonight. So had a conversation with a guest who was on the show, and I won't hold back telling you his name. We had a good interaction today, about 45 minutes to an hour phone call with Jonathan Nelson, who did the conversation, discussion, debate thing, whatever you want to call it, with on Tom Hoostie's channel, the video that I edited, and it triggered a long conversation between him and I. And the one thing I took away from that was he still believes that Jesus is the Messiah, even though he didn't fulfill all the prophecies, because he says, like most Christians, that he's going to do the rest, or do it when he comes back. So tonight we're going to start off with the concept of, does TaNaCh specifically talk about a second coming? Does it not? Does it specifically say no, it's going to happen in one time? And then we'll spin off from there. We'll open the phone lines up later on, but right now we're going to kind of really tackle this. And if it takes an hour to get this out, then we're just going to keep the phone lines off until this is thoroughly expressed, whatever needs to be done here. So, Rabbi, again, thank you for your time. Welcome back. And how are you?
Well, thank God, plugging away. It's what we do.
Yes, sir. All that in one breath, by the way. Good deal.
Retired, looking for things to do, keep me busy, keep me off the street, keep me out of trouble.
Man, no doubt. Well, I just I finally, I hate looking at it that way. I had the tickle in my throat today, and usually when I have a tickle in my throat, historically means something's trying to come on, so y'all keep me in your thoughts and prayers. I do not want to get sick.
Before Shlema.
Oh, thank you. Before it happens, right on. Okay, so let's go there. So most of every Christian that I speak with will concede. Most of them, meaning like the highest number of them, will concede that Jesus did not fulfill all the prophecies. There are a lot of them out there who still believes that he did. He fulfilled everything. Okay, but that's not what we're discussing today. What we're discussing today is he didn't, and is it possible that when Jesus comes back, or whoever, if Moses comes back and he's the Messiah, should he have done it the first time? I mean, I really want to just kind of turn over every single stone so that we've got a good reference to give to people, a source to send out to people who we know has that same theology and has been taught that. Something they can listen to it, see it, cross-reference the scriptures, and know beyond a shadow of a doubt that that's not possible. So that's kind of where we're going. Rabbi?
William, if I tell you that I'm trying to think of an analogy that's halfway suitable or decent, because most of my analogies kind of run out after a couple seconds. But if you were supposed to be the next Mickey Mantle, okay, that dates me. Okay, if you're supposed to be the next Tom Brady, okay, and you show up at a football stadium and you don't even pick up the ball and throw it, am I allowed to say, well, you'll be the next Tom Brady next time? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In other words, as soon as they say there has to be, or there will be, a second coming, the immediate question is, if he didn't do it the first time, why should we believe in him now?
Right.
We have absolutely no reason whatsoever to believe that Jesus was the Messiah, because all those things that go into being the Messiah, he didn't do.
Right.
So let's be clear on some things at the outset, okay? And let's say it's Sunday afternoon, about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and you're sitting reading a newspaper, and half the lights in your house go out, and you click the little button, and can't get the light to go back on. Okay, you go to the wall and you click the wall switch. Nothing happens. You go outside to the box, the switch breaker box, and none of the breakers are broken. They're not switched. So you come back in and you go to the telephone and you call. Who do you call? Ghostbusters. No, who do you call?
I was going to say the same thing.
Couldn't resist. You call an electrician.
Yep.
So half an hour later, there's a knock at the door. You open the door, and breezing past you with pipes and wrenches in his arms, a guy comes in and says, I'm the electrician. Is it a toilet that's a problem? And you look at him funny and you say, I don't have a problem with the toilets. I have an electrical problem. He says, I know, I'm the electrician. Is it a faucet then if it's not a toilet? And you look at him like he's really crazy and you say, the problem is electrical. That's what the word electrician means, someone who deals with electricity. And he goes to every single faucet, but there's nothing wrong with the faucets. He goes to every toilet, but there's nothing wrong with the toilets. And then he leaves. In other words, from before he came and then till after he came, nothing in your house has changed. 10 minutes after he leaves, there's another knock on the door, and it's your next door neighbor. And your next door neighbor says, hey, I just saw Bill the electrician. Isn't he wonderful? And you say, what do you mean? He's not an electrician. He didn't do a thing. And he goes, no, you don't understand. An electrician is somebody who fixes the plumbing. And you say, that's nonsense. The word electricity is found inside the word electrician. And you start getting into an argument with your next door neighbor about Bill the electrician. And he finally says, look, you have a veil over your mind that prevents you from seeing the truth that Bill was a great electrician. Mm-hmm. Someday, he's going to come back and he's going to fix all the electrical problems that are wrong with your house. But until then, you need to believe that he was a great electrician.
Yeah.
And the argument with your next door neighbor goes on for, I don't know, about 2,023 years, give or take. That's what they do to us.
Yeah.
The word Messiah is an English variation of a Hebrew word, which is the language of the Jewish people, about a Jewish man who comes to the Jewish people, and through coming to the Jewish people, he comes to the rest of the world. What he does is defined in the Hebrew scriptures as understood by the rabbis, the Jewish leaders of the Jewish people. The word Messiah is our word. No one has the right to come along and tell us that we've got the wrong meaning for our word, that is, we invented. And then to come and tell us that even though the world has not changed from before Jesus came to after he came, that we don't understand our own scriptures, we don't understand our own concept, we don't understand our own vocabulary terminology, but they have it right. And most of the people trying to tell us this don't know an Alef from a Bet. They don't know one Hebrew letter from another.
Right.
Okay, so let's be very clear that this is something that's ours. We invented it, and they don't have a right to tell us that we got the wrong definition, unless, of course, they want to say that electricians fix the plumbing. Electricians don't fix the plumbing, and what the Messiah is supposed to do when the real Messiah comes hasn't been done by anybody, much less a Jesus. And as soon as they say second coming, look, every single person on planet Earth, okay, every Jew on planet Earth, I'd say most Christians too, know that the Messiah is supposed to bring peace. Now, that's not the reason why we reject Jesus as the Messiah, okay? But let's go with it, okay? They'll say, oh, well, the Messiah never brought peace. Second coming. Oh, the Messiah is supposed to have destroying the instruments of war, and it'll take up to 7 years to get it done. Second coming. all of the fruit in Israel, the fruit trees in Israel, are supposed to give off their fruit monthly as opposed to seasonally. Second coming. Every single thing in the laundry list of things that the real Messiah will do when the real Messiah comes have not been done. And when we bring this up, their complete response is second coming.
Yep, right.
But the question is if he until somebody does what they're supposed to do to be who they supposedly are, why should we believe that they are who they say they are or who other people say they were? We have no reason to believe it, no reason to accept it. Now, real quickly here, okay, there are two definitions. Jews and Christians use the same word, but we mean different things when we use those words, okay, for the word Messiah. The foundational beliefs of Christianity that make up their understanding of what they think their Messiah, their definition of the word Messiah is supposed to do, is inherently unbiblical at its base. So there are two aspects of the coming of the Messiah, which they say Jesus did one aspect, but still has all the other aspects to do to be, in the second coming. But if we cannot accept as biblical the things that they say Jesus did do, all we have to be left with, all that we can trust to be left with, are the things that the real Messiah will do when the real Messiah comes. He didn't do any of them. Therefore, we have no reason whatsoever to accept Jesus as the Messiah. As a matter of fact, because the foundational beliefs that make up what they say Jesus did do, since we find unbiblical, we are required to reject Christianity. We are required to reject Jesus as the Messiah. So they say, William, people knock on my door. They don't do it nearly as often as I wish they did, because frankly, it's fun. But they knock on my door. They want to convert me. I invite them in. I'm very, very nice, warm, accepting, bring them in, whatever. They always have a memorized speech, okay? Their memorized speech usually includes crying on cue, okay? Like they practiced it 1,000 times because you never hear them go, like I talk. So they're giving a memorized speech, okay? They're witnessing. When they are done, you've heard me say this before, when their yo-yo runs out, so the yo-yo starts out energetic and finally finishes up, okay, I ask them, do you have a Bible? Because I want to use their translation, not mine. And they almost always have a Bible. And I open it up to a specific verse, but I ask them before I do anything with that verse, I say, tell me exactly what Jesus did for you. They have to say, he died for my sins.
Exactly right.
Then I turn the Bible around so they can read it, facing them. I say, would you please read aloud Deuteronomy 24:16. Deuteronomy 24:16. No man shall be put to death for the sins of his child. No child will be put to death for the sins of his parents. Every man shall be put to death for his own sin. Ish bechet o yumatu. Every man shall be put to death for his own sin. And I say to them, you just told me that Jesus died for your sin, but the text you just read out loud says every man should be put to death for his own sin. If everybody's supposed to be put to death for their own sin, how can Jesus die for your sin? And that's only one place.
So they will say that was before prophecy, but now where is it? Ezekiel, it says the same thing, or yeah.
Ezekiel 18, Exodus 30, 31 and 32. I always forget. Psalm 140. I can't remember where it says one man cannot ransom another man.
Right.
I can't remember exactly. But it's all over the place.
Okay, before we go there, though, let's go ahead, since we got the title set up for will Jesus fulfill that when he comes back? Let's go into Sorry,
Wait,
go ahead.
but William, it's very important to understand this.
Okay, go right ahead. It's all yours.
And that is what they say Jesus did to start over. What they say Jesus did do to make him the Messiah,
right,
we see as unbiblical.
Good point.
Okay, no man can die for the sins of another. Okay, Numbers 23:19. If God were a man, he'd be a liar. So if Jesus is supposed to be God and man, then as a man, he's a liar. Why should we believe him? We have to reject him. God does not become man. Man does not become God. And the hallmark of paganism, of the Greco-Roman world, is confusing God and man. Okay? We've said this 1,000 times. Hercules, his mother was human, his father was God. Perseus, his mother was human, his father was God. Dionysus, his mother was human, his father was God. I'm missing some people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? It's classic hallmark of pagan idolatry, the Greco-Roman world, to confuse gods and men.
Right.
Okay? We inherit guilt. Okay? The guilt of our ancestors. Adam and Eve brought death into the world. We die because they sinned. Well, excuse me, but I just said this in Deuteronomy 24:16. No man should be put to death for the sins of his child. No child will be put to death for the sins of his parent. You don't inherit guilt. The most basic elements of Christian theology are unbiblical at their base. And so what they claim Jesus has already done to make him the Messiah, we already have to reject as unbiblical, because the statements that they make contradict the clear, Peshat, simple, obvious, literal understanding of the verses in the Hebrew Scriptures. We're not talking about some weird interpretation of a verse that makes us say that every man shall be put to death for his own sin. Okay? They can take any verse they want to and interpret it in any way, shape, or form that they want to. But if their interpretation of any verse contradicts the simple, basic, Peshat, obvious, literal meaning of a verse, we have to reject their interpretation as unbiblical at its base. And that's what they do. So all we are left with, okay, since we cannot accept as messianic, as of and or pertaining to the Messiah, what they claim Jesus already did to make him the Messiah, then the only thing left is all the things that we do know the real Messiah will do when the real Messiah comes, of which he has done none of it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay. And you ask a Christian scholar, okay, show me where it says he has a second coming. And almost invariably, their argument is, well, these verses over here are dying, saving God-man, okay? And these verses over here are everything you already expect. Well, that's two comings, okay? Even if you said dying, saving man-God is one messianic thing the Messiah is supposed to do, and nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. Universal recognition that God is, all the laundry list of things that the real Messiah will do when he comes. There's nothing that precludes the real Messiah doing both the first time around. If both sets of verses indicate what the real Messiah will do when he really comes, the dying, saving man God part and the laundry list of things we know the Messiah will really do when he really comes, okay, there's nothing that precludes them both happening at the same time, except for the fact that Christians know he didn't do it the first time around, so they separate it at two different comings.
Damage control.
Right, damage control. Okay, but the truth of the matter is, he can do all the real Messiah, if he's supposed to be the dying, saving man God part, he can be the dying, saving man God part. At the same time, he makes it so that nations put away their instruments of war. Nation doesn't lift up sword against nation. The absence of famine, universal recognition that our God is God, etc., etc., could still all happen the first time around, and there's still no reason to separate it into two comings.
Right. Or three.
And by the way, first of all, if you say that there could be three, why not 4 or 5 or 6 or 7? And second of all, William, as you yourself taught me, when he was resurrected according to the Christian New Testament, okay, that was the second coming.
Right.
So we're working on the third coming.
Yep.
So any way you look at this, one, Jesus could not have been the real Messiah, because the idea of a dying, saving man God is a violation of the Bible in the most basic, elemental, pashat, simple, clear, no spin understanding of the verses. And all the other things that's another thing. All the other things that the real Messiah is supposed to do, that we know the Messiah is supposed to do, we will know that he has done them with our own senses. Okay? If I turn on the news and there's a nation lifting up sword against nation, so to speak, we know the Messiah hasn't come.
Right.
Okay? If there are people in the world going hungry, we know the Messiah hasn't come. All the things that the real Messiah will do when the real Messiah comes, we will know, because we will be able to perceive them with our own ability to perceive. See it, hear it, taste it, smell it, touch it. And every individual will be able to see this occurring who happens to be alive at the time. So this whole second coming bit, as soon as they say there's a second coming, they are admitting Jesus didn't do what the real Messiah will do when he comes, and they're only coming up with this idea of a second coming as an excuse of why he didn't do what he was supposed to do, but he did do the dying, saving man God part.
Right. Right.
Okay, you want to put up
yes.
one of the 2 quotes real quick?
I can, and I've already got it set up and ready to roll. I just sent you a text with a comment we'll go back to later.
Okay.
From a guy named Ernie on YouTube. Ernie, I appreciate your comments and your questions. Guys, if you have a question on YouTube, be sure to tag at TaNaCh Talk so I can see it. And if I miss it, my mods will probably be able to catch that for me. So for now, let me get you queued up, and I'll tell you when you're ready to roll. Give me 1 second. Okay, you are all good. I'm going to go with Isaiah 11. You can just look at it in your messenger, in your chat, if you want to read it from there. The Skype chat. That's where you sent it to me originally.
All right. Wait a minute. Okay. So where are you showing this?
Isaiah 11:1.
I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
All right. This is a short list of the things that real Messiah will do when the real Messiah comes. Okay, Isaiah 11:1-10. Okay, there shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of his roots. Okay, we're going to read through this real quick.
Go for it.
And the spirit of the eternal shall rest upon him, the spirit of wisdom and understanding, the spirit of counsel and might, the spirit of knowledge and of the fear of the eternal, and shall make him of quick understanding in the fear of the eternal. And he shall not judge after the sight of his eyes, neither reprove after the hearing of his ears, but with righteousness shall he judge the poor, and reprove with equity for the meek of the earth. And he shall smite the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips shall he slay the wicked. And righteousness shall be the girdle of his loins, and faithfulness the girdle of his reins. The wolf also shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid, and the calf and the young lion and the fatling together, and a little child shall lead them. And the cow and the bear shall feed, their young ones shall lie together, and the lion shall eat straw like the ox, and the sucking child shall play on the hole of the asp, and the weaned child shall put his hand on the cockatrice's den. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, for the earth shall be full of the knowledge of the eternal as the waters cover the sea. And in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand as an ensign of the people. To it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious. None of that's happened yet. Second coming.
Yeah, right.
And let's be clear about something. When it says, first verse that we have here, verse 1 of chapter 11, and there shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Jesse. Who's Jesse? Jesse is the father of King David. The stem of Jesse is King David, and the rod out of the stem is a direct bloodline descendant of King David.
Nice.
And in Judaism, we trace lineage through the father. Jesus' father was not a human, therefore he cannot trace his lineage back to King David. Oops!
Yep, right.
And you also get that at the very last verse. And in that day there shall be a root of Jesse. So again, it's a descendant of David. Okay, but all these things in the middle, the wolf dwells with the lamb, the leopard lies down with the kid, cow and the bear feed together, the young ones lie down together, a lion eats straw like the ox. Not in any nature film I've ever seen.
Right.
Second coming.
Yep.
And where does it say that this is supposed to happen, second coming?
Right. Didn't you?
If this is all we're given, if we were given nothing else except this for the requirements of who the Messiah will be and what he does when he gets here, who the Messiah is, bloodline descendant of King David through his biological parents, his biological father. Okay? What does he do when he gets here? All the stuff in between. If that was the only paragraph we had, until such time as every one of these elements gets fulfilled, and fulfilled doesn't mean one person does it and then we don't have to worry about it again. Okay, like they'll say, he fulfilled the law or whatever that means. Okay, these are actual acts you can perceive with your own senses in the real world, not just because you're told, oh, he died for your sins.
Right.
How do I prove that? Faith. No, these things you can see with your own eyes. Okay, hasn't happened yet.
Right.
Second coming.
Real quickly, a big shout out to one of our new viewers, Ernie, out there. See your comments. This is a live show. I think you were asked or somebody else did. And so I'm going to come back, Ernie, to a couple of your questions a little bit later. So if you'll just kind of keep watching, listen in, we'll take care of your questions also. And Andre, if you don't mind, Andre or Larry, Christo, whoever, Michael, if you guys will remind me later if I forget, just send me a message there in the chat, and I'll make sure to go back and recover some of the questions that he's got. I want to finish this topic first, though, but I don't want you to feel like we're leaving you out or not acknowledging that you're there, so I really appreciate it. So, okay. All right, Rabbi, so we've got that. Now, this right here at the very last verse, it says, in that day there shall be a root of Jesse. So in that day, describing everything it just did above that, right? So meaning that everything that was there before, this isn't happening over a long, drawn-out 2,000-year period. This is like at that time.
Right.
Right? Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And by the way, we should. I want to talk about one more thing. Okay, real quick. When it says, "And in that day there shall be," okay, it means that there are certain things that happen at the immediate coming of the real Messiah. They're not stretched out, like you just said, over 2,000 years, but they're also not stretched out over many years. Certain things are stretched out over many years. Biblical text explicitly says it takes 7 years for them to get rid of all the weapons because there's no more need of weapons since there's no more war anymore, since everybody's supposed to be acting morally and ethically.
Okay.
But there are certain things you'd expect to happen immediately, like no more war. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, there really are certain things that should happen immediately. And by the way, what good does it do anybody to say, well, thousands of years from now,
right?
We've already started doing some things, but thousands of years from now, we're going to do the other things.
Right. Okay, so you brought up also Micah. Do you want to go there for like at the moment?
Well, just at the very end, because Micah adds a couple of things at the end of the paragraph. It says almost exactly the same thing as Isaiah 11.
Okay. Got it.
Okay. And it's the last 3 lines, whatever. It says, "But they shall sit every man under his vine under his fig tree, and none shall make them afraid, for the mouth of the Eternal of hosts has spoken it." There are plenty of people in the world who live day to day in fear. Okay? I've had members of the congregation from which I am retired tell me that they don't wear their jewelry, their Jewish jewelry, their chais and their stars of David, outside their shirts anymore because of they living in fear.
Right.
Because the mood of our country is anti-Semitism through the roof. You've seen pictures of Jewish students lock themselves into a library because Palestinians were coming to beat the crap out of them or worse.
Where is the verse that talks about they will grab the hem of the garment of him that is a Jew? Is it Zechariah?
You're going to have to give me a while to find it.
Okay, I'll look it up.
I've heard that God is with you.
Yeah. Ironically, if anything, that one verse really kind of scared.
Zechariah chapter 8, verse 23.
There we go, 8:23. Very good. I was looking at 12.
Thus saith the Eternal of hosts, in those days it shall come to pass that 10 men shall take hold out of all languages of the earth,
yes,
even shall take hold of the skirt of him that is a Jew, saying, we will go with you, for we've heard that God is with you. Not God is with the Christians.
Right.
Or the Muslims or the
that
Hindus,
would have been
the Buddhists,
a
or whatever.
really great place for that to be clarified right there. That would have been the perfect place to, and this is one of the later prophets right here. So, and it says of him that is not a Messianic Jew, not a Jewish Christian, not Jews for Jesus, but literally a Jew, saying, "We will go with you." So, and I'm like, how do you? You have to just ignore the stuff and like erase it out of your Bible to be able to know that's there and still choose to believe in Jesus and follow a non-Jewish method, a non-Jewish lifestyle,
Yeah.
And so it kind of blows my mind. Okay, so, all right. Do you want to discuss any more just ideologies or concepts regarding this?
By the way, there's another. I can't find it real quick.
What's the verse basically? And I'll try to look it up for you while you
it's kind of like take hold of him of the skirt of the Jew. We will go with you, for we have heard that God is with you. But there's another verse that says, they acknowledge that their fathers have taught them lies.
Oh, yeah, our fathers have inherited lies. Yeah.
Yes, right. And that's another important point. They don't come to the Christians to find out that their Jewish ancestors told them lies. They're coming to the Jews because their Christian fathers have taught them lies.
Jeremiah 16:19.
Thank you.
Very
okay,
good.
what was the other thing you wanted to do?
Jeremiah. Oh, I just wanted to kind of like pick this thing from all the angles. I don't want to leave anything out about this whole second coming idea. We could while I'm kind of pulling up this other thing. I thought I did though. What did I say? It was 16:19. Jeremiah 16:19. Yeah, that's right. I just want to show that on the screen for a minute. I probably could do it later, but I'm hoping this thing will publish proper. 16. There we go. And verse 19. Yeah, there it is. Yep, that's it right there. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
The Gentiles shall come to you, and who was Jeremiah speaking to? The Jews. The Gentiles shall come to you from the ends of the earth and shall say, surely our fathers have inherited lies, vanity, and things wherein there is no profit.
Right. And so for you Christians and Messianic Jews and Jewish Christians and Jews for Jesus, and
Hebrew Christians and whatever they're calling themselves.
Gentiles, the word Gentile is referring to everyone who is non-Jewish. You could be a Muslim and you're a Gentile. You could be a Hindu, you're a Gentile. So you got Jews and Gentiles. That's the whole world of the TaNaCh, Jews and Gentiles, right? And the ideas, Jews and non-Jews. So you fit into that. Everybody who believes in the New Testament at all, in any part of it, the New Testament figure, you're considered to be a Gentile, not a Jew. And so your fathers have inherited lies. Yeah, that's true. Wow.
Wait a minute.
Okay. Awesome. Dominique, thank you. You're awesome.
What was the verse again? 16 what?
19.
19.
Jeremiah 16.
I just want to check something real quick.
Sure.
Bear with me.
Okay, sure.
It
says, verse 20 says, shall a man make gods unto himself, and they are no gods? How appropriate that's there, right there. Oh, Lord, money.
Right.
Oh, that was...
Right.
There we go. Yep. Okay.
All right.
All right. So
all of this should be very obvious. To go back, electricians do not fix the plumbing. This is the definition of, it's our word. No one has the right to come and tell us that we have the wrong word, that we have the wrong understanding of our own word. You know, hey, William.
Yes, sir.
Look at the screen.
I'm looking at, oh, that's kind of weird. Why is it like cut off like that? That's odd. Hold on.
Wait, I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh no, I'm actually looking at a different monitor. What am I looking for at the screen?
You're looking at the potato. See my potato on my eyes?
I see glasses on your eyes. What are you talking about?
No. No. You got the wrong word.
Oh, I see. You're doing an illustration.
They're really called potatoes.
You're doing an illustration.
Okay.
I see what you're doing.
This is a potato right here. Hey, if they can change our word, we can change any word we want.
I see what you did there. That was pretty clever. What's funny is you asked that question right when I looked away to try to turn on the phone lines, and I was like, "Did I miss something?"
Well I time things?
You are perfect timing. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, before we actually take a call, I'm going to go back and get to Ernie's comment earlier. Let me see if I can find it. He was actually bringing up the idea about the Al-Qaeda. Where's
That's
it at? Ernie. Oh, I sent that to you in this chat here. Let me go back here.
Right, I see it. I'm looking
7:29 p.m. It says, "How about this? Isaac, a picture of Christ, willingly goes to Moriah to be sacrificed." I would like for you to talk about this kind of in depth. It is stopped by the Lord saying God himself will provide the sacrifice. Then Isaac is not seen again until whatever. But the point is, he's saying this is about Jesus. God provided a sacrifice, and Jesus was the sacrifice. Even though we know the sacrifice there was actually a ram, and according to TaNaCh.
And where did the lamb come from?
Right. My point is, according to TaNaCh, if a lamb is to be provided for sin, it has to be a female lamb for one thing. So people believe these things because they don't know TaNaCh. They don't know what the Hebrew Scriptures, aka Old Testament, for all you Christians out there, say.
I said, any verse can be taken by anybody and interpreted in any way, shape, or form they want to. Right. Okay. But what's the whole point of the Akedah story?
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. That was the message I got out of it anyway.
God doesn't want. God calls human sacrifice an abomination. Yeah. God calls human sacrifice something he hates. Okay, Christians are all about love. Well, God also hates certain things like human sacrifice. When it says God himself will provide the sacrifice, God did provide the sacrifice. Where did the ram come from?
Hey, Ernie, real quickly, you asked a silly question. It wasn't silly. You might have been serious, but you said, "Do you want me to shut up?" Because I was like, "We'll get to your question soon." I didn't then, but I wouldn't use the term "shut up." But right now would be a good time for you to not type and not read chat, but just pay attention because we're actually talking about your question as we speak. So, Ernie, if you're hearing me talk right now would be a good time to pause on the chat and just look at the screen because Rabbi is addressing your specific comment earlier around 7:29 p.m. about the sacrifice, what Christians call the sacrifice of Isaac. So
yeah, but they call it sacrifice because they wanted to model Jesus. But the problem is that Isaac never died.
Right. Okay.
Because God said, "Don't do anything to him. Don't lay a hand on him." Okay. And just like God said God would do when he said God himself will provide the sacrifice. By the way, Christians want to play with those words and they'll say God will provide himself the sacrifice, as if God is saying, I'm providing myself to be the sacrifice. It's not what the Hebrew says. It says God himself will provide the sacrifice, which is exactly who provided it. Because when Abraham lifted up his eyes, all of a sudden he saw the ram whose horns were caught in the spot in the brushery, the whatever it's called, the bush. Okay, the branches. Can't think of the word. Okay, so and the whole point of that is God is saying, I hate human sacrifice. I don't want you to do human sacrifice. And that's why I'm giving you a ram instead. And by the way, Jesus was supposed to have been a sin sacrifice. When does it say that Abraham was going to, where does it say that Isaac was supposed to be a sin sacrifice when Abraham was supposed to have sacrificed his son? So humans are not supposed to be blood sacrifices. God explicitly calls it an abomination and something he hates in Deuteronomy 12. Uh, and in I think it's Jeremiah, God says that when you go it's basically, it says that human sacrifice is such a horrible thing, it wouldn't even come into God's mind to demand it from us. Oh, wait, God changes his mind. Okay, now instead of not being like the Canaanites that you're going to be rubbing elbows with, who did horrible things like like human sacrifice, which is why they're losing their land, why I'm giving it to you, to the Jews, because I don't want you to do what they did. God is saying, oh, I changed my mind. Not only do I want human sacrifice, but it's my son turned human that I want you to, believe in the blood sacrifice for. So, and there are numerous interpretations of the binding of Isaac, the Akedah, the binding, okay? Most of which are that, Abraham's credit is that he was going to obey God, okay? There are plenty of rabbis who said, through the millennia, that Abraham didn't understand what God wanted, that God never really wanted Abraham to kill his own son. What does that leave us with? What are we supposed to conclude if God really didn't want Abraham to kill his son? It means that the test was that God wanted Abraham to tell God, no, I won't do it. You already told me that the lineage goes through my son Isaac. Now you want me to kill Isaac and make you into a liar? I won't do it. So, multiple ways to understand that, but the main way to understand it is God does not like a blood sacrifice for sin. Start over. God doesn't like a human sacrifice of any kind, and God doesn't change his mind. Okay, let me go to this and okay. What?
Sorry, guys. I'll be right.
I can't find the.
Sorry, guys. I'll be right back with you. I'm actually hitting up on
okay.
a phone call here real quick. What are you looking for, Rabbi?
I'm trying to do two things at once.
Okay. I can look it up for you. Just give me the idea of what you're looking for.
What was the timestamp?
7:29 p.m.
29.
Yeah, Ernie.
Okay. I wasn't far enough. Okay.
Okay, got it. Very good.
27.
All right, there we go.
29. Okay.
So yes, for all you people out there asking, this is a one-man operation. So there's a lot of things to do, and if we have any like pausing error like that, it's kind of comes with the territory. That's the essence of live videos. No, this is not edited and pre-recorded. Some of the shows are. In fact, shows like this, sometimes if I find that we do have some dead air, I will go back and edit them to just kind of snip out all the silence, and might even do that now. So Raymond Reef, the chat does not appear to be frozen to me, brother. You might want to refresh your browser. Very good. All right, let's see. All right, so what are you looking for?
This is what they're going to argue for. They're going to argue for dying, saving man God, and then doing all the things the real Messiah will do when he comes. But if the first part, the first coming, the first thing they say he was supposed to do the first time around is an unbiblical act that we have to reject because everything they're saying he did is unbiblical. He died for our sins. Every man's put to death for his own sin. Okay? Ezekiel 18. The wickedness of the wicked is on the wicked. Not the wickedness of the wicked is on the righteous. Okay? Everything they say he did that made him the dying, saving man God, okay, is unbiblical at its base. Then the only thing that we can accept to be evidence that Jesus was the Messiah are all the things that the Bible says the real Messiah will do when he comes, and he hasn't done any of them. That's why they invent the idea of his second coming.
Right.
So they can, what's his name? Son of Zeruiah, okay, may refer to Psalm 110 again. I think that's like every week somebody does that.
Yeah.
Okay. sit at my footstool. Well, that shows he's first coming. He ascends, and then he has to come back later and destroy his enemies. Why does that say it's a second coming? It's only a second coming in because it doesn't fit your already existing model of what's supposed to happen. So you say that it's a second coming and first coming. Where does it say he has to come twice to do what he's supposed to do the first time around?
So Ernie responded and said, "There is none righteous, no, not one." So
what's his point?
Well, because his point is you need to have a sacrifice to cover for your sins. But my point is, my point is though, not right. There's not one righteous. That's wrong. That's actually, in fact, in the New Testament, even talked about, Mary. Elizabeth, and what was, I keep forgetting the other one. It says that they were blameless in all manners of the law.
Well, yeah, their husbands. It says their husbands were blameless.
Anyway. But with that said, the same thing goes with TaNaCh in the Old Testament times. It is very possible for people to keep the law. Just like it's possible for me to keep the laws of the United States. I could be perfectly flawless in the laws. If you violate something, just go pay the tab, and then you're back on square again. It's when you refuse to pay the tab, that's whenever you have a problem. So actually, Ernie, it's typical New Testament teachings that leads you to believe this because it's a fear factor. And so it was but I'm sorry you were just taught wrong. I was raised Christian myself. I know where you're at, but it's a learning curve. You just got to kind of stick around and learn some of this. So thank you, Christo. Yeah, Zachary, yeah, that's right. Okay, I did kind of cut you off. I apologize. I want to catch up before we take this call. We do actually have, before we do that, Son of Zeruiah just commented again. You want to look at that real fast, just in case you need to button up this conversation. 7:54 p.m., Son of Zeruiah. The Lord said, "Sit at my right hand. First Messiah will be born, ascend, and sit."
He says, the Messiah will be born, ascend, and sit, and then he will destroy his enemies in the second coming. Where does it say that?
Where does it say second coming? It doesn't.
What he's doing is he's fitting in biblical verses and things in the Bible to what he's projecting as being his what's the word? His reality, his framework.
Right.
Okay. But nowhere does it say his understanding of that framework is the way it has to be. Okay?
Right. Yeah.
So, and why does, wait a minute, there's another element to that too. Okay? Sit at my right hand, and the whole thing about the Lord said to my master, okay, it's, the whole thing about that, go look up previous weeks, go look it up in various places. We don't have to go through it again. But where does he get the idea, except that it fits his structure of things? Maybe it's he destroys his enemy and then he goes back to sit with God.
Right. Interesting.
Have your cake and eat it too.
Right. Okay, let's take this caller. Caller, you are live on the air.
Oh, I didn't know we had one.
No, you're fine. It was my fault. I was the one who was kind of like leading it aside. So, caller, you live on the air. Please tell us your name. Where are you calling from?
Oh, me?
Yes, you are live. Go right ahead.
Okay. This is William from Pennsylvania.
Welcome, William.
I was just wondering, were the miracles possibly to compensate for the fact that Jesus didn't accomplish all the prophecies?
if the miracles even happened at all, that's a really good point.
Right. but they were written there because.
Is it possible the New Testament has account of so many? Hey, William, don't hang up. I'm going to answer this caller fast. Caller, sit tight. I'll be right back with you in just a minute.
You got it.
Is it possible that all the miracles were done because there was no fulfilled prophecy? That was kind of the point I think he was making, which is actually a really kind of a clever point too. So, all right, I'm getting my callers mixed up. I don't know who's on, but so Robbie, you want to discuss that a little bit? Did he even do these miracles? I mean, was this something you would think that if somebody had such a dramatic miracle of raising all the dead people, all the people coming out of the graves that would be found in historic writings outside the Bible, or feeding 5,000 people with 2 fishes or 3 fish and 2 loaves of bread, that sort of a thing would make it hit the news somewhere. But you don't see that anywhere except in the New Testament writings, in their own stories. So, any thoughts on that, Rabbi?
Not more than what you already said. You said it so well. Okay, no, I really don't have anything to add. William?
Sorry. Yeah, sorry, I'm taking a call right now. Go ahead. Okay, so I thought you were going to chat on that for a little bit, but that's okay. All right, we'll come back to that then. Okay, so let's see what we got here. I got two other callers on, but before we get those, because I've got to figure out who's who, I want to see if there's anything we left out here in the chat. If you guys, again, let us know if you have any questions there. Okay, so let me just click on one of these and see which one answers here. All right. Caller, you're live on the air. Please tell us your name, where you're calling from. Igor, welcome. Oh, sorry, Igor, welcome back, my friend. Sorry, I've got to get the. I think I've got some buttons pushed that I shouldn't have pushed. Okay. Oh, that sounds better. Okay, welcome again. Sorry, welcome back, Igor. How are you, brother?
I'm fine, thank you. Last week, I've asked a question about the Christian version of Satan, and my new question is some kind of follow-up. In Christianity, Rabbi, Satan not only rebelled against God, but also convinced a third of the angels to do the same. However, it is not known with what arguments he did this. And I don't know if you have the same experience than I have, but when talking to a Christian, it is common to me to hear that they call Satan astute, persuasive, crafty, and other words that to my ear sound like euphemisms to hide a certain shame, so to speak, that I feel they have to admit that they might think that Satan is even smarter than God. They certainly think God is more virtuous and more powerful, but not more intelligent necessarily than Satan. In other words, with this kind of people I speak, it's like God has more strength, but Satan has more brains, so to speak. And my question is, in Christianity, by giving free will that Satan does not have in Judaism, isn't the Christian religion creating more problems for itself in relation to Satan that those it tries to resolve? Why is it a good idea to have an antagonist who can persuade God's angels to follow him? What is the benefit?
Well, the benefit is actually pretty clear.
Igor, go ahead and hang up now until you can answer. Okay, brother? Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Go ahead, Rabbi.
Okay. The benefit is very clear. They don't want to ascribe anything negative to God. And so by creating this idea of a devil who fights against God over souls, which is very problematic to begin with, but by creating this entity that fights with God over souls, they take away their problem, of having the idea that God has anything at all to do with anything bad or evil or negative. You know, Isaiah 45, 5-7 explicitly says, I create light and create darkness, I create good and create evil. I create peace and create evil. Okay, so, you know, by having this devil figure, they separate God from the evil, and they therefore can blame God. The problem is, like 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 4, it says that, you know, it talks about the devil being the god of this world, and it's his fault when people on earth don't believe in Jesus, who is the image of God. And it uses the same word in the Greek, theos, for the devil as it does for God. So they're saying that the devil is a god of this earth, and now they've got more than one God. It's the same word, theos. So they're using that word that means God in the Greek for both God and for the devil. That's not monotheism anymore. That's polytheism. Father, Son, Holy Spirit, devil. Father, Son, Holy Spirit, devil. So at least four,
yeah.
You know, and that becomes other problems too. But that's why they do it. I told you the story, I think, last week maybe, about the minister who took my Introduction to Judaism class that I gave every year, because he wanted to hear about Judaism from Jews, not from Christians who tell us, who tell them what we think. He wanted to know what we actually think. And first time he was there, first thing we talked about was the Christian concept of devil versus the biblical idea of the Satan. And he literally got up and walked out because the whole idea of what Isaiah explicitly said, he couldn't handle.
Interesting, right? All right, I believe we have time for una más. So, caller, you are live on the air. Please tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Hi there. Yes, my name is Tony, and I'm calling from Montana.
Tony, welcome.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Hello, Rabbi Stuart.
Hi.
How's it going, sir? I watch your videos on learning the Hebrew alphabet. I think those are great because I keep having to replay it, so I pick on some nuances that you do,
awesome,
which are pretty funny. So, so I had a question regarding, I guess, a New Testament question. So in John 10, it tells us that no one can take Jesus' life. He could lay it down, and only he has the authority to lay it down and also take it back up, because this was commanded by the Father, according to John. And then we read in 1 Thessalonians 2:14 that actually the Jews killed Jesus. So if that's, wouldn't that seem like a blatant contradiction if
Yep.
God is, someone can actually kill God, and just that thought is just
it
just makes my brain fuse, just short out.
There's another problem with that, and that is, Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, not my will, but your will be done.
Yeah.
Jesus himself explicitly says that going through this is not what he wants, but his will not being the same will as the will of the Father, he has to do what the will of the Father is, which means they're not equal. If they're not equal, then you got more than one God also.
Tony, thank you for your call. Go ahead and hang up now and listen for your answer. Okay? Thanks.
By the way, wait, before you hang up.
Yes, sir.
Did I miss it? Is he there?
Go ahead.
Yes, I'm still here.
I just want you to know that after ordination, when you're running around the country trying to find a position, a synagogue.
Yes, sir.
One of the synagogues that I the one that got away was Billings, Montana. Instead, we went to Greenville, Mississippi. But my other choice, I always wonder what would have happened if. But I almost was in Billings, Montana.
Right.
Bozeman seems like a hot spot for between Bozeman and Helena. But man, I'm praying that a synagogue opens up close to me as well. Just because I live out here in the boonies, and something closer would have been good. But I appreciate you taking my call, sir.
You're welcome.
I'll listen up for the answer as well.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for your call. Yeah, there's a lot of problems with that whole idea, isn't there, Rabbi?
And he's right. They create more problems than they're worth. This is the problem with many of the things in the Christian's New Testament. That's why I always say the best proof that Jesus could not have been the Messiah is the best proof is found in the pages of the Christian's New Testament itself.
Right, for sure. Oh, yeah. All right. Well, Rabbi, it was a good show tonight. Thank you for taking the time as usual. Guys, go to whatjewsbelieve.org. I keep saying that, but I'm going to actually go there for you because I want you to be able to see why you need to go there. So give me a second. I'm going to type that up for you. Any final thoughts there, Rabbi?
No, just...
I will say there was 400. I think it's up to 420,000-ish on that video, on the Hebrew teaching video that you did so far. 410, 420. I don't know what it is.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
410,000 plus.
There you go.
And it's only been up 9 months.
Yep. There you go. That's awesome. It's up to you guys to make sure that thing gets all kinds of airtime. Okay, so this is let me get rid of some of these ads on here. Okay, so this is Rabbi Federow's one of the websites. So whatjewsbelieve.org. Just remember that address. Actually, let me put it up on the screen better where you can see it. Give me 1 second here. How do I do that? Lost my scroller. Screen capture. Bring that down. There it is. There it is. Okay, cool. Trying to make sure you guys don't leave here wondering what was he talking about, and that is how you find it right there. WhatJewsBelieve.org. Okay, and so at the best thing I think I like about this whole website that you've got here, Rabbi, is like the website itself is like a cell phone app, which means if you have a cell phone, you could save this to your
browser.
phone, and like save it as a favorite, and then you can go down to these areas like, which I'm fixing to zoom into here. All right, it's easier when you edit the video, but I'm not editing video, so here we go. You can go over here to this other side, and you can see all these different things. It's here. You got Learn to Read Hebrew in 1 hour. Oh, you got that added on there. Nice, very good. That's that 410,000 view Hebrew video you guys got to check out. But you can go down to all the topics. When you click on these topics, it'll take you to little short lecture infos. There's some proof text for you as well, bibliography, and also you can buy his books online there as well. So this is it's like a really great cell phone app for sure. But like here, for example, like if you click on this right here, one person cannot die for the sins of another. But if you're talking to your Christian neighbor and he talks about Jesus died for your sins, right? And you click on that link right there.
I found it. It's 417,000.
Oh, so it's almost 420. Good.
417,000 views within 9 months.
That's cool.
A little over 9 months.
Okay, so you see what's going on here. So you click on that. You click on that tab. I'm going to make this one size fits all, so that way it doesn't have to. I don't have to keep moving things and sizing them around. But let me get rid of this little logo here too. So when you click on that, it'll just take you there. The blood sacrifice is not required for forgiveness of sin. That to me, that is like the most beautiful one right there. You click on that, a little short, little essay on why, how, scripture references. They'll back it all up. So whatjewsbelieve.org, you need to go there. And if you don't have it, whoa, I must have clicked on something crazy. That thing took off like a rocket. And then, Rabbi, where are your books at? Usually have them handy there. Yep.
In my
Yipper.
Yeah.
Yipper.
Let's see. The English one.
Yay.
English. Judaism and Christianity, A Contrast. And then the translation, which is into Portuguese.
I think in Portuguese that would be woohoo. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Yay in English,
Okay,
woohoo.
and also in Spanish.
And then in Spanish it's like
Yes.
Okay, just kidding, guys. Sorry.
Judaísmo y Cristianismo un contraste.
It's a very easy read. It's summarizing a lot of things. It has a lot of quotes in there from Rabbi Singer's books as well to kind of give you some circular areas where you can go bounce from books to books. One book that if I ever write a book, which I need to, like you said, I'm going to include in there also a book called Leaving Jesus, which was the very first thing I got my hands on by James Wood Jr. If you haven't got that, you should get that too. Leaving Jesus.
I have it somewhere.
And I've got mine actually inside the house on the other shelf. I don't have it out in the studio here. Yeah, so there you go, guys. And also, if you'll look down into in the video description area, there are resources for a bunch of different books, including the books I mentioned. Even has Rabbi Singer's books in there. If you buy them using the link that I provided in the video description area, I'll get like a nickel off of every sale. It adds up. It does.
Hurt.
Hey, it adds up. After what, 3 months? I've been doing this for 4 months now, and I finally got a check for $80. I was like, yes, that's awesome. So every little bit, it does add up after a while. So yeah, for sure. Okay, well, guys, I appreciate your time. Rabbi, I appreciate your time especially. Glad you're doing well.
I just enjoyed talking to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, y'all have a wonderful night. And don't forget, subscribe, hit that, turn on notifications too. Otherwise, you won't know whenever we're doing a live show or anything like that. And then share these with your friends. Very important. And go back and watch that video. Oh, yeah, sorry. I would be amiss. I have to show that one more time. I'm going to use the link here since we're on your website here. Why is it not going up any higher? There it goes. Okay, right there. Learn to read Hebrew in 1 hour. Boom. We click on that guy right there, and it's going to take you to this website, which is the easy one to remember. Also, it literally is just simply HebrewJumpstart.com. HebrewJumpstart.com. And that video right there has just gotten so... What's going on with this? Oh, there's a demon. Could it be Satan? Yeah, well, okay. HebrewJumpstart.com. That's where you want to go. So, anyway, and if you want to reach Rabbi Federow as well, because some people don't pay attention to this during the show until it's too late. So, there you go. RabbiStuart@hotmail.com if you want to talk about our show or whatjewsbelieve.org. Also, HebrewJumpstart gmail.com. So you can fast forward to the end of the show later on. This show will not be back available again for a couple days. YouTube during the week has a problem with getting videos rendered quickly. On the weekends, it seems to go faster. That's why Rabbi Singer's videos like pop up within an hour after we do them. But sometimes it takes a day and a half for YouTube to finish going. I guess it's just there's too many videos being uploaded during the week, I suppose. So, but anyway, that's the normal thing for these shows. So anyway, I hope you guys have a wonderful night. Rabbi, I love you. You guys have a wonderful
Dear friends,
Take care.
Hope this message finds you well. If you like the way this channel is going and the channel has been a blessing to you, please consider supporting the channel by going to the website TaNachTalk.com. TaNachTalk.com. Thank you once again for your time and for supporting TaNaCh Talk. Shalom.
חשוב והכרחי להיות ביחד. איפוק זו העוצמה, ויתור זו הגדולה, השאיפה